Some of the most unforgettable coin discoveries have started with a single old penny that everyone else ignored. Could the next one be yours? Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're counting down 3 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that continue to capture the attention of collectors. 1957 Wheat Penny, no mint mark. 1957 D Wheat Penny. 1953 D Wheat Penny. Struck in 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc and featuring the iconic wheat ears reverse design, these pennies have survived decades of circulation. While most appear worn and ordinary, collectors carefully inspect them for rare varieties, mint errors, and exceptional condition examples. The most interesting part? Sometimes the smallest detail, one that most people never notice, is what makes a coin truly memorable. Stay until the end, because the final wheat penny has a story that surprises even experienced collectors. Let's uncover coin number 1. What if one of the oldest-looking pennies in your pocket turned out to be the most interesting coin in your collection? The first coin in today's countdown is the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, a classic American coin that has fascinated collectors for generations. At first glance, it appears ordinary. Its copper surface has darkened after decades of circulation, the wheat ears on the reverse show noticeable wear, and Abraham Lincoln's portrait has softened from years of everyday use. Yet experienced collectors know that appearances can be deceiving. The 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark beneath the date. During the 1950s, billions of wheat pennies circulated across the United States, buying everything from newspapers and candy to bus fares and groceries. Most were eventually worn down through constant use, making heavily circulated examples a familiar sight even today. The obverse features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday, it became the first regular United States coin to feature the portrait of an actual historical figure. Above Lincoln appears the word Liberty, while "In God We Trust" arches across the top, with the date 1957 displayed below. Turning the coin over reveals the iconic wheat ears reverse, one of the most recognizable designs in American numismatic history. 2 detailed wheat stalks frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E Pluribus Unum across the top. This classic reverse remained in production until 1958, making every wheat penny an important part of American coinage history. The 1957 wheat penny was struck from an alloy of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc, giving it the rich reddish-brown color collectors associate with vintage Lincoln cents. After decades in circulation, many examples develop deep brown toning, worn lettering, and smooth surfaces. While these signs of age are completely normal, collectors pay much closer attention to coins that display genuine mint-made varieties or production errors. Although hundreds of millions of 1957 Philadelphia wheat pennies were produced, specialists still examine them carefully for double dies, die cracks, repunched features, strike irregularities, and other authentic mint-made anomalies. A tiny production difference can sometimes make one coin far more interesting than millions of ordinary examples. It is important to remember that most 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are worth only a modest premium above face value, depending on their condition. However, professionally authenticated mint errors, significant die varieties, and exceptionally preserved coins continue to attract strong collector interest. That possibility is exactly why experienced numismatists never ignore an old wheat penny. They know that history, rarity, and careful observation often go hand in hand. One reason the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny remains popular among collectors is that it belongs to one of the most studied coin series in American history. Even though millions were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, careful examination continues to reveal fascinating varieties and mint-made errors that keep collectors searching through old penny jars and inherited collections. During the minting process, each cent was struck using hardened steel dies under tremendous pressure. while the United States Mint maintained strict quality standards, occasional production mistakes still occurred. These rare mint-made errors are what make certain 1957 pennies especially interesting to specialists today. Collectors often inspect 1957 wheat pennies under magnification, searching for double dies, die cracks, die chips, struck-through errors, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and lamination flaws. These features are uncommon, but when professionally authenticated, they can make a coin much more desirable than a normal circulation example. The famous wheat ears reverse also provides many areas for close study. Experts carefully examine the wheat stalks, lettering, rim, and fields for tiny die imperfections or striking differences. Even subtle variations can become important when they represent genuine mint-made characteristics rather than damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Because the coin contains 95% copper, many surviving examples have developed beautiful natural brown or chocolate-colored toning over the decades. Original surfaces are highly appreciated by collectors, while harsh cleaning can reduce collector appeal. In numismatics, originality is often valued more highly than an unnaturally bright appearance. Professional grading services play an important role whenever an unusual 1957 wheat penny is discovered. Specialists evaluate the coin's authenticity, strike quality, preservation, and any possible mint-made varieties before assigning a grade. This independent examination helps collectors understand exactly what they have found. It is important to remember that most 1957 Lincoln Wheat pennies are common and do not carry extraordinary value. Higher prices are generally associated with authenticated error coins, recognized varieties, or exceptionally well-preserved examples. Careful identification is always essential before assuming that any coin is rare. That is exactly why experienced collectors continue checking every old wheat penny they encounter. An ordinary-looking cent that has spent decades in circulation may still hold a genuine mint-made surprise. Sometimes, the smallest detail hidden beneath years of wear is what transforms a simple 1-cent coin into one of the most fascinating discoveries in a collection. The second coin in today's countdown is the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that may look no different from countless other old cents found in drawers, piggy banks, or inherited collections. Its copper surface is dark and worn, the edges have softened after decades of circulation, and the familiar wheat ears on the reverse have lost much of their original detail. Most people would never think twice before setting it aside. Collectors, however, know that even a common-looking Denver mint penny deserves a closer inspection. The 1957 wheat penny was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date. During the 1950s, the Denver facility was one of the busiest coin-producing mints in the United States, striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents for everyday commerce. These pennies traveled across the country, passing through stores, banks, schools, restaurants, and businesses before eventually finding their way into today's collections. The obverse displays the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. Since its introduction in 1909, this design has become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1957, with the D mint mark clearly identifying its place of origin. The reverse features the iconic wheat ears design, with two graceful wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Across the top appears the national motto E pluribus unum. Although the design remained largely unchanged for nearly 50 years, collectors still study every detail carefully because small production differences can make one coin far more interesting than another. Like other wheat pennies of this era, the 1957 D was struck from an alloy of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. This composition gives the coin its distinctive reddish-brown appearance when new, while decades of circulation often produce rich brown patina and softened details. Many collectors appreciate these natural signs of age because they reflect the coin's genuine history. While most 1957 D wheat pennies are common, specialists continue searching for authentic mint-made varieties such as double dies, die cracks, die chips, and striking anomalies. These unusual features occur on only a tiny fraction of the total mintage, making them much more desirable than ordinary circulation examples. For that reason, experienced collectors never judge a wheat penny by its appearance alone. A dirty, worn coin may seem insignificant, but careful examination sometimes reveals a hidden detail that transforms an everyday cent into a fascinating collectible. That possibility keeps the search alive for anyone willing to look a little closer. The fascination with the 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Penny comes from the fact that millions of these coins circulated for decades, yet a small number displayed genuine mint-made characteristics that continue to interest collectors. While the average example is common, unusual production varieties remind us that even high-mintage coins can produce remarkable discoveries. Every 1957 D wheat penny began as a blank copper planchet before being struck under tremendous pressure at the Denver Mint. As the dies aged through continuous use, small imperfections occasionally developed. Some of these die-related changes were transferred directly onto the coins, creating varieties that collectors still study today. Among the features specialists search for are double dies, die cracks, die chips, repunched mint marks on earlier series, struck-through errors, clipped planchets, and lamination flaws. Although these mint-made errors are uncommon, professionally authenticated examples often receive much stronger collector interest than ordinary circulation pieces. The wheat ears reverse offers several important areas for examination. Collectors inspect the wheat stalks, lettering, rim, and fields using magnification, looking for subtle die deterioration or unusual strike characteristics. Even a small production difference can become significant when confirmed as an authentic mint variety. Because the coin contains 95% copper, many surviving examples have developed attractive natural brown or chocolate-colored toning over the decades. Collectors generally prefer original surfaces that have aged naturally rather than coins that have been harshly cleaned or polished. In the numismatic hobby, originality often adds more appeal than an unnaturally bright appearance. Professional grading services help determine whether a coin's unusual features originated during production or resulted from later damage. Experts carefully examine the strike quality, metal surfaces, and overall preservation before assigning a grade and identifying any recognized varieties. This process provides confidence for both collectors and buyers. It is important to remember that most 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Pennies are worth only a modest premium above face value, depending on condition. Higher values are generally associated with professionally authenticated mint errors, recognized varieties, or exceptionally well-preserved coins. Careful research and authentication remain essential before estimating any coin's value. For collectors, however, the excitement lies in the search itself. Every old wheat penny carries decades of American history, and every handful of circulated cents offers another opportunity to discover something unexpected. A worn 1957 D cent may look ordinary today, but under careful examination, it could reveal a fascinating detail that has remained hidden for generations. The third coin in today's countdown takes us back to the early 1950s, a period when American coinage was still dominated by classic designs and copper cents were a major part of everyday life. This is the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that has spent decades traveling through American commerce. Today, many examples appear dirty, worn, and heavily circulated, with dark copper surfaces and faded details. To an untrained eye, it may look like an ordinary old penny, but collectors know that every wheat cent deserves a closer look. The 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located beneath the date on the obverse. During this era, Denver played a major role in supplying the nation's demand for circulating coins. Millions of these pennies entered daily use, moving through stores, banks, and households across the United States. The obverse features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. This design had already become an American icon after its introduction in 1909. Lincoln faces right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1953 surrounding the portrait. The small Denver Mint mark provides an important clue about where the coin was produced. The reverse displays the historic wheat ears design, featuring two wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. The phrase E pluribus unum appears above, completing one of the most beloved reverse designs in American coin history. This design was used until 1958, making wheat pennies highly popular among collectors who appreciate classic American coinage. The 1953 D wheat penny was made from the traditional Lincoln cent composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When newly produced, these coins had a bright copper appearance, but decades of circulation transformed many examples into deep brown, reddish-brown, or darker tones. These natural changes are part of the coin's journey and often appeal to collectors who value originality. Although a large number of 1953 D cents were produced, collectors continue searching for examples with special characteristics. They carefully inspect these coins for double dies, die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, and other genuine mint-made errors that occurred during production. A small manufacturing mistake can make one coin stand apart from millions of normal examples. The heavily circulated condition of many 1953 D wheat pennies tells a fascinating story. This coin may have passed through countless hands during the 1950s, 1960s, and beyond before being saved by a collector. Every scratch, mark, and worn detail represents a piece of everyday American history. While most 1953 D Lincoln Wheat pennies are common, authenticated mint errors and exceptional examples can attract stronger collector attention. That is why experienced numismatists always recommend checking old copper cents carefully. Sometimes, a forgotten penny hidden away for decades can reveal a surprising connection to America's past. The story of the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat penny is not only about its age, but also about the small details that make one coin different from another. For collectors, every mark, line, and surface feature can provide clues about how the coin was produced and how it survived through decades of circulation. When these pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, each coin was created using carefully prepared dies. However, as thousands of coins were produced, the dies experienced pressure and wear. Over time, tiny changes could appear on the coins being struck. These small differences are what collectors study when searching for interesting varieties. Some specialists look for features such as doubled lettering, double dates, die cracks, die chips, struck through marks, and unusual strike characteristics. These varieties are not found on every coin, making careful examination an important part of collecting. A simple magnifying glass can sometimes reveal details that are impossible to see with the naked eye. The classic wheat ears reverse remains one of the biggest reasons collectors love these coins. The wheat stalks, lettering, and raised details provide important areas for inspection. Even after decades of wear, some coins preserve enough detail to show their original design and production characteristics. Because the 1953 D Lincoln cent is made from 95% copper, many surviving examples have developed natural brown surfaces over time. Some coins display attractive reddish-brown colors, while heavily circulated examples may appear dark or faded. Collectors generally appreciate coins that maintain their original surfaces without harsh cleaning or artificial alteration. The condition of a coin plays a major role in its desirability. A heavily circulated 1953 D penny may show scratches, worn lettering, and reduced detail, but it still carries historical value as a piece of mid-20th century American currency. A well-preserved example with strong details and original color can attract much more attention among collectors. Professional authentication becomes especially important when a coin appears to have an unusual feature. Experts examine whether a mark or variation was created during the minting process or caused later by damage. This careful evaluation helps protect collectors from confusing ordinary ware with genuine mint errors. It is important to remember that most 1953 Lincoln Wheat pennies are not extremely rare and are usually collected based on condition and characteristics. The strongest collector demand usually comes from authenticated errors, recognized varieties, or coins preserved in exceptional condition. The true excitement of wheat penny collecting comes from the possibility of discovery. A small copper coin that once had almost no attention can suddenly become interesting when someone notices a hidden detail. That is why collectors continue searching through old jars, coin albums, and inherited collections, because every wheat penny has a story, and sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise.